Northeastern Oklahoma hospitals experienced more COVID-19 hospitalizations than they did at the height of the pandemic.
As more Olympic athletes test positive for COVID-19, new questions about whether the games will be played. I'm Greg Palcott in southern France. That's my story, coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Aubie. Authorities say a Joplin bank robbery may be linked to a bank robbery in Kansas. Joplin police say the Great Southern Bank was robbed yesterday at around 1 p.m. In that robbery, witnesses say the robber displayed a weapon and fled with an undisclosed amount of cash. Now, at around 10 a.m. that morning, a bank was robbed in Lewisburg, Kansas, in Miami County. The Miami County Sheriff's Office says no weapon was displayed in that robbery. The robber in both cases, shown in surveillance video as you can see, appears to be the same man. Joplin Police Department, Miami County Sheriff's Office, and the FBI are investigating whether they are in fact connected. Police link a Joplin area man to 6 July burglaries. According to Joplin police, 29-year-old Brady Schaefer was apprehended with the help of a canine after fleeing from a church that had been broken into, the First Baptist Church at 41st and Connecticut. Police say Schaefer identified himself as homeless. Police also connected him to burglaries at bodegas, Bartlett's Shoe Company, New Hope Church, St. Philip's Episcopal Church, and South Joplin Christian Church. A Webb City man pleads guilty in federal court to child sex crimes. 26-year-old Harley Schrader pled guilty to 2 counts of sexual exploitation of a child. Authorities say Schrader solicited explicit photos from 2 minors. Schrader is facing a mandatory minimum sentence of 15 years in federal prison and up to 30 years in prison. Nick Kelly joining us now with the first look at the weather. Another sunny day today, Nick.
Yes, thankfully, though, Jordan, temperatures staying below normal, unusual for July, but we'll take it given the summer heat. That's ready to build back in pretty soon. 67 to start. 84 was the warmest we could go for today because of moisture still on the ground that's yet to evaporate. That actually prevents us from getting any hotter. Not to mention partly sunny skies and a northeast breeze throughout the day as well. Nothing going on here, not much going on across the central plains. So good indication that's how we're going to stay for the rest of the night, as temperatures right now sit mainly in the lower to middle 70s. But as far as the planet for tomorrow goes, a quick look at the day ahead has us starting mild, mostly clear, lows dropping back into the mid 60s. But it's going to be another warm day with below normal temperatures, highs are 87, a step warmer for tomorrow, Jordan, but the summer heat, it's still summer and it's coming back soon. We'll break down the forecast here in a bit.
All right, Nick, thanks so much as always. Sharky's Pub and Grub, Fort Scott, Kansas, is closing for at least 30 days. That's because a building near Sharky's, the Eagle Block building, has been deteriorating and officials warn it could collapse. City Council hosted a meeting today to discuss the building, and they agreed to demolish it and the nearby CDL building that had collapsed.
And as much as I'm in favor of trying to save the integrity of a historic site, it's beyond that. Especially when my dog is in this fight, and I've got a business that's creating quite a bit of revenue for our county and our city. We should have saved it years ago.
City of Fort Scott says it's going to look at grants to help the businesses affected by the issues while the building have to remain closed. Pittsburgh State President Steve Scott yesterday announced he's going to be stepping down from his position in June of 2022. So today we talked with President Scott about his decision. He's worked at the school for 3 decades and has been president since 2009. Scott says the main reason he's stepping down is that he's 70 years young. He also felt it was time to move on after such a long career at the university.
But in terms of 24/7 of this role, and coming out of the Great Recession followed by a global pandemic, in some ways you feel like, hey, I've done my turn. Somebody needed to lead this place during that time. I've taken my turn. I've done the very best job I can.
Scott says he still plans to work in Southeast Kansas and is considering nonprofits. Hospitals in Northeast Oklahoma are dealing with a rise in COVID-19 cases, putting a strain on their system. KOAM's Bronte Sorosky spoke with Oklahoma health officials to learn more.
We are seeing a resurgence of COVID cases. In fact, between Ottawa and Delaware counties over the last 2 weeks, there's been over 500 new cases.
Northeastern Oklahoma is seeing an increase of COVID-19 cases. Integris released a statement on their website saying both their Miami and Grove hospitals are seeing more inpatients now due to COVID-19 than at the height of the pandemic, citing low vaccination rates in Ottawa and Delaware counties. Currently, their Grove hospital is treating 12 COVID patients. In Miami, they're treating 7, which the hospital says are higher numbers for their smaller buildings. The state health department says as of July 14th, cases have been on the rise.
There were 118 new cases in Delaware County and 93 in Ottawa County. And then this current reporting period, there were 190 new cases in Ottawa County and 144 in Delaware County.
Citing low vaccination rates throughout the two counties for the uptick in cases.
Individuals with at least one dose of COVID vaccine for Delaware County was 38.2%. And those that were fully vaccinated was 29%. And for Ottawa County, those that have had at least one dose is 35%, and those that have been fully vaccinated again is around 29%.
Thompson adds that most hospitalizations are occurring in the unvaccinated.
Those that we are seeing that are being hospitalized and going into the ICU type of setting are those that are unvaccinated.
He explains that the vaccine is still the most effective way to combat COVID.
If you look in comparison to the 1.3 million people who've been vaccinated, and you have around 800 who have tested positive that have been vaccinated, that's even less than the 95% efficacy that the vaccines claim to have. That's a higher rate of success on the vaccine's part.
In northeastern Oklahoma, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
YouTube announcing new labels, which will help audiences distinguish what's being labeled credible health information from other sources. Social media platforms have recently been under attack by government officials for the circulating of what's being called misleading information regarding the pandemic and vaccines. YouTube said it would highlight videos coming from authoritative sources when folks search for health-related videos. There's also going to be informational panels with links to medical information websites recommended by the National Academy of Medicine. Federal health officials are issuing a warning about rising COVID-19 cases. The summer surge even hitting Capitol Hill after a White House official and a senior member of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's office tested positive for the virus. Fox's Madeline Rivera has the latest from D.C. on the growing concerns over the virus's spread.
We now have a variant circulating in this country that is, at the time was less than 3% and is now 83%.
CDC Director Rochelle Walensky calls the increase of COVID-19 cases caused by the Delta variant dramatic. Just this week, a White House official and a senior member of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's office tested positive for COVID-19. Both of them were fully vaccinated.
But we have to stay vigilant, especially with the Delta variant that's out there. While COVID-19 cases are rising, virtually all of the COVID deaths and hospitalizations are from unvaccinated people.
Meanwhile, the American Academy of Pediatrics says all students older than 2 and all school staff should wear masks even if they are vaccinated. A departure from the CDC's guideline that masks only need to be worn indoors by anyone 2 and over not fully vaccinated. The debate over the investigation into the origins of the virus also continues. Dr. Anthony Fauci and Senator Rand Paul trading barbs over whether the National Institutes of Health helped fund research at a Chinese lab that could have sparked the COVID-19 outbreak.
What we're alleging is that gain-of-function research was going on in that lab and NIH funded it.
You are implying that what we did was responsible for the deaths of individuals. I totally resent that. And if anybody is lying here, Senator, it is you.
Despite the new COVID-19 cases, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi did not suggest that members should return to wearing masks. She says she'll let the Capitol physician make that recommendation. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another four-state hero. Kenneth Van Cleve Jr. served in the U.S. Navy from 1944 to 46. Native of Galesburg, Kansas, Van Cleve was stationed in the South Pacific. We are proud to thank and honor Kenneth Van Cleve Jr., tonight's four-state hero. Nick is next with a complete look at the forecast, and later, Missouri Southern softball hitting the field with the next generation of ball players. Gonna have the story in sports.
Normally for mid to late July, we should be around 90, 91 degrees for afternoon highs, but we did not come close to that today because we're still evaporating all this excess moisture from all the rain that we picked up, not just over the weekend, but over the past several days beyond that, or prior to that rather. And not to mention with partly sunny skies and a northeast breeze, it looked quiet throughout the day from indigo sky, and temperatures stayed below normal once again. We did that yesterday with highs in the mid 80s, lower to make that upper 60s this morning, then bouncing back into the mid 80s this afternoon. Even though Mother Nature's been spoiling us as we have had to deal with too much summer heat this month, our luck's about to run out. I mean, I'm tracking a few more very warm days for the next few days, mainly highs in the upper 80s, but despite maybe a slight chance for a few isolated storms Thursday and by early next week, the summer heat, we've held it off for so long, but it will return with authority, especially as we go into early next week. In the meantime, though, still looking okay from 7th and range line. Mostly clear skies up top, 73 with the northeast breeze very light at 3 miles per hour. Dew points sitting in the mid 60s, and that gives you a good idea of where temperatures will eventually bottom out as we go into the overnight and certainly by Wednesday morning. Most of us are in the lower to middle 70s, as low as 72, still as warm as 77 in Chanute. 72 was that number in Milnet, by the way, everyone else in between. But the dew points, they've been okay. They've been in the mid 60s all day. They're starting to climb back up, but they usually do at this time of the night. So mid 60s to about 70. Yeah, you can kind of feel the humidity outside, but it's not adding much to the heat index. It feels like 72 in Carthage and maybe a few degrees warmer. Feels like 79 over in Chanute. But again, we're all dropping back into the 60s tonight with nothing going on here. In fact, it's due to a little area of high pressure, little but strong enough to keep a front to the north and a front to the south, and that's where the big rain chances will stay. And not to mention this jet stream setup. It's actually picking up some of the smoke in the wildfires out west and carrying it around the ridge and through here. That explains a bit of the hazy look that we've had throughout the day. But a few more days with that upper low keeping that heat to the west, so we'll definitely see that result in another warm day for tomorrow. Not before, though, we get past a mild start of the morning. Again, mostly clear, no threatening weather whatsoever tonight as lows drop back to 66 degrees. A light east breeze stays light throughout the day, maybe turning southeasterly at times, but that should be enough to nudge temperatures just a little warmer. 82 by noon, and I see most of us topping out around 87 for Wednesday afternoon. Let me show you Thursday. That upper low moves along, and as the ridge builds back in, a weak wave could ride along the jet, wants to bring a few isolated storms Thursday, but most of us stays dry. But look at Friday, Saturday, and into early next week. Any weaknesses in the ridge might bring a few isolated storms on Monday, but the big story with that ridge, the returning heat and humidity. Before it returns, though, 87 tomorrow, 89 Thursday, 91 on Friday, then pushing into the mid-90s for a hot and humid stretch going into early next week, Jordan. And it's a shame, too, because we've been spoiled so much for much of this month. It's only a matter of time before summer came back.
That ruthless humidity had to return, didn't it?
Yeah, so it was only a matter of time.
Hey, Kelly, see you in a little bit. Coming up, crunch time for an infrastructure deal.
The Senate leader has set up a procedural vote on the bipartisan infrastructure bill for Wednesday, but Republicans say they don't know what they're voting on. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington with more coming up.
It's crunch time on Capitol Hill with key votes scheduled for the bipartisan infrastructure package, but some senators say it's hard to know how to vote when the final legislation is not written. Fox's Lauren Blanchard breaks down the story from D.C.
It is not a final deadline for legislative text. It is not a cynical ploy.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer wants his chamber to move forward on a bipartisan infrastructure bill Wednesday, voting on the legislative shell, not the final bill. But Republicans will likely block the vote.
This week's vote is an honest attempt to get something done, to get the ball rolling on the Senate floor.
Republicans say negotiators are still hammering out details, and some of the bill isn't written, especially the portions on how to pay for the nearly $1 trillion piece of legislation.
We're not going to the bill until we know what the bill is. The economy does not need this tax and spending spree.
Republicans say forcing a vote, even a procedural one, is a waste of time.
We are making progress, and it makes no sense to rush into a cloture vote when we don't have language to share with our colleagues.
There are no secrets about what's in this legislation. It was agreed to in a bipartisan agreement.
But progressives in the president's party say time has run out. They want to pass the bipartisan bill with only Democratic votes.
I think we need to move on. We're wasting time. We need to deliver this. This is the Republican playbook over and over again. Delay, delay, delay.
And they want to take up another multi-trillion-dollar budget reconciliation bill.
This is radical, extreme, dangerous, and scary.
Republican negotiators want Leader Schumer to wait until next week to hold the vote. They say by then they'll be able to hammer out more of their disagreements with their counterparts. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Coming up, the U.S.-Canada border set to reopen, reconnecting trade routes and families. Canada is going to reopen its border with the U.S. in just a few weeks. Starting August 9th, fully vaccinated Americans are going to be allowed entry once again to our neighbors up north. And as Fox's Jennifer Lee explains from Seattle, it's welcome news for families and couples who've been separated during the pandemic.
It's been quiet.
Blaine has felt like a sleepy town, but in a few weeks, fully vaccinated Americans can finally start crossing into Canada.
This is like beyond phenomenal news. I'm so excited. Now we just need the American side to allow all the Canadians down, and yeah, it'll be happy days.
Rosa Rozansoff works at Living Pantry and says opening the border will be great for business. But more importantly, it'll open the door for family and friends to reunite, including hers.
I'm so excited. You have no idea. It's going to be so exciting to go up and see them and hug them.
Walk past that sign and you are in Canada. But if you swing over back this way, this is Peace Arch State Park. So loved ones who have been separated by the border, this is the only place that they can drive to spend quality time with one another.
There's no way that we would have survived, just started dating, and then this happening if we didn't have this.
Joseph is from Canada and Joanne lives in Birch Bay.
I have to fly to Seattle to come to Bellingham.
Yeah, even though you live, what, 50 minutes from here?
Maybe.
And I worked 50 minutes from here.
The couple says this first step from Canada will make it that much easier to be together, even with some of the rules. Canadian officials say all travelers must submit proof of vaccination and travel information. They must also get a negative COVID test before arriving in Canada, regardless of vaccination status.
Oh my gosh, we talk about it all the time. It's like when we're old and gray sitting on our front porch, we're going to be laughing about, remember when we used to sit in the hut?
The couple is now engaged to be married and says this park will always have a special place in their hearts.
It'll be something that we're grateful for, but I think that we'll be super glad it's over and we'll probably laugh about when we're old.
In Blaine, Jennifer Lee, Q13 News.
Next, going to check out the newest out of this world pictures from the Hubble Space Telescope. The Hubble Space Telescope once again sharing the universe with the world. NASA releasing these new images from the telescope yesterday. They are Hubble's first images since it returns to collecting information in space Saturday. The first photo shows a pair of interacting galaxies. The second records a large spiraled galaxy with three unusual extended spiral arms. Hubble is currently running on backup hardware. Its main computer failed in June, shutting down the telescope after over 31 years in service. Isn't that something? Over 31 years of service. Cool stuff. All right, 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming away. The American Academy of Pediatrics takes a position on masks in schools for the upcoming school year. Also, going to visit a couple of county fairs, one of them hosting a dog show. American Academy of Pediatrics announced that students and teachers should wear masks regardless of their vaccination status when they return to class this fall. KOAM's Chris Warren spoke with a local pediatrician, and Chris has more.
The announcement by the American Academy of Pediatrics is one that is gaining support at the national and local level. Dr. Kelly Meyer with Pediatric Associates of Southwest Missouri says she agrees with the Academy's position for a number of reasons.
I think the biggest concerns with children for this upcoming school year is that not everybody has the ability to be vaccinated. Vaccines have only been approved for those 12 to 18 years of age, and so those kids under that age are not going to be able to be protected and be vaccinated.
Dr. Meyer says there are additional concerns with the Delta variant specifically.
This new variant that we have It does target and seem to be more easily spread through our teenagers. We're also seeing greater numbers in our younger children as well, including hospitalizations, which is new to this strain.
Dr. Meyer says that seems to be the trend being noticed with the Delta variant.
A lot of what they're seeing hospitalization-wise and ICU admission-wise at this point in time are going to be those younger people. And unfortunately, we have had recent deaths of adults, even as young as their 30s, who have died from this variant.
Dr. Meyer also has concerns about kids who get COVID.
It does concern me because at this point we're still finding out, what are the long-term side effects of having COVID. Having a lot more of these kids hospitalized, being a lot sicker. We don't know kind of long-term if it's going to cause lifelong issues or not.
In Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Dr. Meyer says she believes a policy requiring masking for all kids 2 and up and all educators as well would be most beneficial for our local school districts. People shopping for some homemade and homegrown foods also had an opportunity to learn about efforts to combat hunger. The executive director of the New York City Coalition Against Hunger visited the Webb City Farmers Market today, talked about local and national efforts to fight hunger, reminding people that hunger was a huge issue even before the pandemic.
But it's still very discouraging that we're the wealthiest nation in the history of the world. We have over 500 billionaires, and yet tens of millions of our neighbors can't afford enough food. We need to fix that, and my nationwide tour is reminding us of why that's so critical.
As Joel Berg just said, he's on a nationwide tour that's going to end on the West Coast. It's county fair time for several area counties, and each one has their own set of events lined up. Over in Cherokee County, Kansas today, they hosted a 4-H youth dog show. Look at that. 9 kids presented 11 dogs to the judges and were graded based on the dog's appearance and how they handled agility and obedience tests. Organizers say the event helps kids learn to care for animals.
We start meeting in February and try to meet once a week until fair. So they get that training in a group setting, and then they also have to do work at home at it. But it's to teach the kids responsibility, and it can lead to great careers.
Cherokee County Fair runs until Saturday. To Labette County we go now. The 110th annual Labette County Fair is also underway. Today's events featured several animal shows, including poultry, bucket calves, and beef. Later in the week, they're going to have more animal shows, a cornhole tournament, and a demolition derby.
The horse show is very fun, despite the heat. This is actually a cooler day compared to it. Last year, with it not even being in the fair, but having it in the fall, I didn't get to go to that one. But this year, it is very nice that I can finish my last year out here at the fair on the horse show.
The Labette County Fair also runs until this Saturday. Heads up here, pharmaceutical maker Pfizer issuing a recall on its popular anti-smoking drug over a possible cancer risk. Pfizer says that it's recalling some batches of Chantix after impurities were found that exceeded FDA-approved levels. Some compounds were detected that are classified as probable or possible cancer causers. The recall affects 12 total lots of Chantix. Tablet doses range from 0.5 milligrams to 1 milligram. FDA says there's no immediate risk to patients taking the medication, though long-term use could pose that possible cancer risk. Chantix is used short-term to help quit smoking. For lot information, go ahead and visit the FDA.gov website. If you think of your bed as comfy and cozy, well, sorry here. Other creatures of the night you don't want probably agree. It's comfy and cozy and are cuddled down with you. A medical microbiology expert at the University of Westminster says in a new paper that your bed is the perfect lab experiment for growing bacteria, viruses, and microscopic bugs. The microbiology expert says bacteria and E. coli can make their way into a normal bed, and humans shed about 500 million skin cells a night, making a feeding ground for dust mites. The report recommends washing linens at least every 2 weeks, wash and dry on high temperatures at 131 degrees or above, and get rid of your bed after 10 years. How about that story for nighttime, huh? Sweet dreams. A bit later, college athletes making more money.
The world of college sports is changing, with athletes officially able to start making money from their likeness. I'm Marianne Rafferty with more on how businesses are navigating these future endorsements coming up.
We stayed warm but below normal once again, but it will not be long before the summer heat and humidity that we normally expect for July is eager to return very soon. But much of today has been very quiet. It started out mostly sunny, some afternoon cloud cover, and at times a bit of a haze during the late day sky, but kept quiet overall from Indigo Sky Casino and Resort outside of Seneca, Missouri, and all across the region. But that cloud cover, along with the northeast breeze at times throughout the day, again, helped us stay below normal. Normally, 90, 91, that's where highs should be, but we only made it to the mid-80s yesterday. But after starting in the upper 60s this morning, we bounced back around 84 degrees. That was the best that we could do for today, but the 90s. I wish I was talking about the decade, but the temperatures, those 90s will be returning soon. But we're looking okay at 7th and Rangeline right now, 73 in Joplin with the dew point sitting in the mid-60s. It gives you a good idea of where temperatures will bottom out before we hit sunrise first thing in the morning. Temperatures across the region overall, they're not too terrible. 70 in Monette, 72 in Iola, a few warmer spots like 77 in Chanute, 74 in Welch, but we could be seeing numbers a lot worse than this, including the dew points. Throughout the day, they were in the mid-60s. Tolerable dew points for mid to late July. They're starting to inch up a bit, mid-60s to about 70, so you can kind of feel the humidity outside, but it's not adding much to a heat index. Still feels, most of us, like we're in the lower to middle 70s before we hit the top of the 10 o'clock hour. Again, we'll drop back to cool things down a bit, mid-60s tonight underneath mostly clear skies that we're seeing not just here, but across much of the four-state region because of high pressure sitting along the Iowa-Missouri border. Small, but mighty enough to keep us quiet for tonight and tomorrow. Also strong enough to keep any good frontal systems to the north and south. That's where the better rain chances are going to stay. And a bit of the haze that we had at times during the day is due to the jet stream picking up some of the wildfire smoke out west and in southwestern Canada, taking it around the ridge. Some of it went into the northeast, and other parts of the smoke went down here. So that's the setup that led to a bit of the hazy look, but that upper ridge out west, that's eager to return soon, but fortunately it does not return for tonight or for tomorrow. So we'll keep things mild as we get your Wednesday started. Mostly clear all across the area. Overnight lows drop back to 66 with a light east breeze of 5 to 10 miles per hour. Throughout the day, occasionally a southeast breeze comes into play, but overall we will turn a little warmer. 82 by noon, highs are 87 despite partly sunny skies up top. But in general, everyone tops out around 87 tomorrow with another dry day on tap. Now let's talk about Thursday. As the jet stream returns, a weak wave wants to ride along the jet. If it can get close enough with enough strength, lift, and moisture, we can't rule out a few isolated storms for Thursday, but most of us should stay dry. But once we hit Friday and going through this weekend, this upper ridge will definitely send us back into the 90s. Any weaknesses, especially on Monday, could try to bring a few isolated storms on Monday, but that's about it as far as rain chances go. Mainly a dry stretch with that summer heat ready to return. 87 tomorrow, 89 Thursday, lower 90s for Friday and Saturday. Then it'll really feel like summer, Jordan, with mid-90s early next week, so it'll definitely be hot and humid by then.
As you said, the 90s return. It was a good decade, though. It was really good. Nick Kelly, thank you so much. Coming up in sports, the Joplin Outlaws chasing a playoff spot in the final week of the regular season. Also, Pittsburgh and Baxter Springs meeting in the first round of the Little League State Tournament. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
The Joplin Outlaws begin a big four-game series tonight against the Sedalia Bombers. Sedalia is currently in first place in the Mink League South Division. The Outlaws trying to earn a playoff spot in the last week of the regular season. Now, tonight's game is in the bottom of the 8th inning. Joplin trails 5-3. Brett Wiemers is 1 for 5 with an RBI. After this one, game 2 of the series is tomorrow night at 7. Missouri Southern softball hits the field tonight with the next generation of ball players. The Lions host Little Lions Camp for players ages 6 through 12. Now, they had nearly 30 kids there this evening. Now, of course, the focus is teaching the fundamentals of the game, but it also gives the Southern players a chance to work with the kids, have fun, and give back to the community.
It's just awesome to see the girls that are around our area and to show them like our love for the game. Come on! Ah, good job!
You're gonna see a 90-degree angle in your elbow. It's just fun to see that the girls are taking an interest, and you grow up and you're just like, oh my gosh, this sport is so much fun. And it's just really cool to see that they're having so much fun doing it too, because once you fall in love with softball, like that love just doesn't go away.
And I'm just curious. I just want to see who can throw the farthest. Really twist those hips, engage that core. They get to see how we interact with each other, and they get to see that it's not always super serious, super strict. Like, we have so much fun doing this, and it's what we love to do all day.
Well, tonight is the first round of the Kansas Little League Baseball State Tournament in Baxter Springs. Now, the Pittsburgh 12s play their first game this evening, facing the tournament host. Now, the winner of this tournament at the end of the week moves on to the Little League Midwest Regional in Indianapolis. At the top of the first, Pittsburgh scores first. Ball to the backstop. Colton Simmons races home from third to score. Now, later on in the top of the first, Isaiah Main gets the strikeout, but dropped third strike. Throw is on time to first. But Colton Smith-Heisler beats the throw home. Pittsburgh rolling to start. Maine, though, out there on the mound, gets out of the top of the inning with a strikeout. Baxter coming up to bat down 4-0. And the home team gets one in the bottom half. RBI fielder's choice here for Brooks Walker. He scores Logan Abbott to get Baxter on the board. Right now, the game's still going. Pittsburgh up 5-1 in the bottom of the fourth. In the major leagues, the St. Louis Cardinals have won 3 of 4 to begin the second half of the season. That includes Game 1 of a 4-game series against the Cubs last night, 8-3. And tonight, the Cards try to get back over 500 in Game 2 against Chicago. That one is in the top of the 7th. Cardinals lead 6-1. Harrison Bader is 2 for 3 with a double and an RBI. As for the Kansas City Royals, Game 1 of a quick 2-game set today against the Brewers. Kansas City closes it out late to win 5-2. Ryan O'Hearn gets a pinch hit 2-run homer in the 7th. The two teams will finish up their set with another afternoon game tomorrow. That's it for sports. We're back with more news after this.
College athletes are gearing up not just for the field or the court, but for new potential business opportunities. Fox News correspondent Marianne Rafferty has more on how businesses and players are negotiating future endorsements.
Businesses, especially ones in college towns, are biting at the bit as they explore the new uncharted territory of student-athlete partnerships. It's the aftermath of the National Collegiate Athletic Association's decision to alter their policies earlier this month, allowing players to profit from their name, image, and likeness.
I would say it's a beautiful mess. It truly is.
With NCAA players now eligible, it means companies can pay them to endorse a product or slap their name on a menu item, t-shirt, and more.
There's going to be a mix between massive brands throwing a lot of money in the beginning and small mom and pop shops trying to compete.
This shift is also opening doors not just for new business ventures for athletes, but for new businesses to form, like Valiant Management Group, started by 2 former University of Michigan players. The company helps represent student athletes as they prepare to enter these new deals.
We're taking everything off their plate.
Experts say there's still a lot that needs to be ironed out as small businesses decide how much to offer players and if they will make a return on their investment. But one thing is clear, athletes are now the ones in control of their financial opportunities.
It's a free-for-all right now, and so I think the student athletes can ask for whatever they want.
And football players from the University of Michigan are taking advantage of the policy change, becoming one of the first NCAA athletes to make money from the sales of their team jerseys. Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
Going to preview MasterChef Legends with special chef Jonathan Waxman. Legendary chef joins the MasterChef kitchen this week, bringing a new challenge for contestants. We spoke with Jonathan Waxman about his time in guest judging the show and how it was a reunion for him. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
Lexi.
Yes.
I'm glad you listened to me.
Fox's MasterChef Legends welcomes Michelin star chef and James Beard Award winner Jonathan Waxman for a California Mystery Box Challenge, which is also a reunion on the judges panel.
Aaron Sanchez, my little son. That really is the best part of the whole situation. As Aaron and I get a little older, he and I just get closer and closer.
And Waxman enjoys helping to inspire these home cooks.
Regardless whether you're a cook or a bricklayer or a lawyer, it doesn't matter. You have to find people's passion. And I think that's why I love Gordon so much, because he really elicits that ability to get people's passion out.
I absolutely love Jonathan Waxman.
What would you tell contestants in terms of how they can make the most of this experience, no matter how far they get?
It's a brilliant way of getting people to a different level. that you really have to put yourself on a pedestal. Regardless of whether you stay for the next round or not, you have to just reach inside yourself and get the best out of yourself.
That's a professional touch.
Here's the other part of the puzzle, is that food is just food, right? We all have to eat every day. So how do you make just food amazing? I always say, let the ingredients speak to you. Let them tell you little stories. And if they tell you stories and you listen to them and you respect the ingredients, then your dish is going to be fantastic.
Oh, gosh.
MasterChef Legends continues Wednesday night on Fox. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. Going to leave you with video from Shanghai, China. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.